What do we lose when we stop making things by hand? Over the past few months, I've been making things that I'd usually buy at home. Now, this all started with a dare my friend gave me to create with a new medium this year, but honestly, I grew curious too. In my last video, I tried bookbinding to make my own journals at home, and my honest verdict was that it was not really worth the time and effort. At least not in the way that I expected. So I wanted to put this to the test again, but with a different medium, to see if that would give me a different answer. Now, unlike bookbinding, I couldn't just lock myself in my room and figure it all out on my own. Well, I guess I technically could, but I didn't want to buy a whole sewing machine not knowing if I actually enjoyed sewing, so I called in a friend. But before I could show up at a studio, I had to gather some supplies. This store, or warehouse, I guess, was literally like Costco, but for fabric.
Like, they probably have their whole system for organizing everything, but I have no clue where anything is.
For my first ever sewing project, I decided to make this top from a pattern that I bought online.
I feel like I could see this as a shirt. Yeah, I think that would look cute.
Many rolls of fabric later, I secured my denim, lining fabric, zipper, and got the pattern printed out on large paper. Now there was only one thing left to do.
Hello, how's it going?
Good.
Thanks again.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, I brought donuts.
Yeah, coffee's great.
I feel like people like donuts, so I brought donuts.
This is Dre, also known as Gloria Allen, a friend of mine and my sewing teacher for the day.
I make sewing content. I teach people how to sew clothes. I also sell fabric, sewing tools, and my whole mission is to try to make sewing more accessible for everyone.
As someone who's like never really sewn before, like maybe I've sewn like a button on, or like I've like stitched a few things, or like embroidered, but how do you think today is gonna go? Like, do you think I have no clue what to expect today, to be honest.
So I've taught a couple people how to sew. It depends on what you want to know.
Okay.
I think it'll be pretty easy. We have like decently easy fabric to work with, and we'll make it fun. Okay, so this is the sewing pattern. Yep. Each line style is a different size. Start highlighting. And you don't have to do the whole thing, but usually like the corners or the tight areas where it's like this, that's where it's very helpful.
Throughout the day, it was nice learning with someone there to guide me, which is such a contrast from my bookbinding experience because I could actually ask clarifying questions in real time.
What does it mean by cut and fold?
So this line that says cut on fold is on the fold. And then that way when you...
It duplicates it basically.
Exactly. Then it's symmetrical.
Why do you like making things instead of buying them? Especially when there's like so many options. Like you literally nowadays can just click things in like a few buttons and like get it at your doorstep.
I personally just always like to tinker with things, like use my hands. I've always had like a keen eye or like interest in fashion. So clothing just made sense. And then I also feel like some of the things that I'm thinking of either don't exist out on the market. Like I can't even buy it, or they exist, but they're really expensive. So then I either make it myself and it's like way cheaper, or like I'll buy something and alter it. And it also just feels nice to be like, oh yeah, I made that. If you had bought 1.4 yards, we'd want to make sure that you cut it
so it fits everything?
Optimally. Yeah, so you have enough fabric for it. So that's what the cutting guide is for. So you just want to follow that diagram somewhat.
Okay.
So the grain line is to be parallel with this. And opposite to the grain line is the direction of greatest stretch. And so for a t-shirt, for example, you'd want it to stretch horizontally so it's more comfortable when you wear it. And it doesn't stretch this way, because if it stretches up and down, then it gets like slouchy after like 20 wears.
Did you find that when you first got started with sewing, it was harder for you to be creative with thinking about stuff? For context, before doing the sewing stuff that we're gonna do, I did bookbinding. Literally, like instead of buying a journal, I was like, let me just bind one from scratch. And it took a lot of manual work and it took a lot of time. And I found myself questioning a lot, is it actually worth it to put in the time? So I'm curious if there was like a point in time or like how long it took you to get to that shift of, oh, I can think about all these like interesting customizations and cool things.
I feel like kind of the opposite.
Oh,
At the beginning,
interesting.
I was like, oh, I want to make this. I'm just going to figure it out. And then once I learned more about technique, I was like, oh, that'd be too hard. Like there's no way I could do it. And I almost stopped myself before because I already know how difficult it'd be. Versus when I started, it's like, I'll figure it out, you know? It's like a overconfidence. at the
Okay.
beginning.
I feel like that's always one of the best ways to learn, where it's just like you have something in mind and then you just work really hard at trying to make it happen.
Yeah, but like when people first start sewing, you either choose something very basic, like
Yeah.
a pillowcase or tote bag, or you don't have any interest in that and you just want to jump to like making a blazer or like trousers. But yeah, it never comes out great that way.
That's fair. Okay, we just finished cutting on the main fabric, and then now we're gonna start cutting on the, forget what it's called all of a sudden, the lining fabric. I'm not gonna lie, this actually took way longer than I thought. So the fact that there's still like another whole set to cut makes me realize just how long all this takes.
So I do have jean thread, but because this is a light denim, I think you'll be fine with this thread. So if you have like a 100% cotton, you'll want to use a 100% cotton thread. Poly cotton thread is just like a good all-around thread that people use.
First time using a sewing machine. I just don't want to clip my hands by accident. That'd be pretty bad. I know you don't like gore, so I gotta make sure I don't
faint.
clip myself so that you don't faint.
Okay, step one is loading the bobbin. That's for the bottom thread, because when we sew, there's a top thread and a bottom thread that are gonna come and connect. And you're just gonna hold it up, it's gonna spin and start loading the bobbin. So go ahead and hit the pedal. Nice.
Ooh, that's cool.
Okay.
What would you say is the hardest part about making things from scratch?
I think it's the patience it takes to actually like be able to do it. Specifically with sewing, there's so much to learn about setting up the machine, about how what your fabric affects the machine, about how like technique. So I feel like almost you have to have the patience and perseverance to just keep learning and keep going to be able to do it later.
Okay.
That's probably the hardest part.
No, that makes sense. I can't say I'm the most patient person. So I think for me, it's like it's hard because it's like I like the duality of like convenience, but then I also like having creative freedom. And so that like clashes a lot.
To start a stitch, you'll want to back stitch. You'll hit the foot pedal, it'll move forward, let's say like 3 or 4 times. Then you stop, you hold down this lever in front here, and then you press the foot pedal again, and it'll reverse. It's gonna overlap.
Oh, I see.
And that overlap locks in the stitches, so like you can't pull it apart.
It reminds me, like I think learning any new skill in general reminds me of when my mom asks me how to use her phone or like how to use her iPad. There are times where a notification will pop up and my mom will be like, what do I do? Do I press this? And there's literally just 2 options, like okay or no. She knows to press okay or whatever, confirm or whatever, but she's scared because she doesn't know what will happen. And I think it's like the same thing where it's like now when I'm doing this, I'm always asking, oh, should I stop here or like whatever, instead of just doing it because I don't know what the worst case like scenario or thing is. So it kind of reminds me of that. You tend to be more risk adverse in the beginning because you don't want to mess anything up. Even though it's probably best to just do it and then learn after. So now that you have the skills and ability to make clothes and make things for yourself, how do you make a decision on whether or not you want to just buy that thing or make it by yourself?
It depends how badly I want it. Like, I definitely prefer to make it myself, but I rarely have the time. If I really want it, I'll make time to make it. Otherwise, I'll buy it. But most of the time, I'll thrift. So I don't even know what I want until I get there.
Sewing project versus bookbinding. I can't tell if I like it more because I'm doing it with a friend or if it's because it feels a bit more like useful in a sense that like a journal I won't always use every day, and I guess technically a shirt I wouldn't, but there's just more utility that I feel like I would get out of wearing a shirt. Like I could wear it outside more proudly. Every single detail takes a lot longer than I thought, but I think it's because I'm so used to the speed that comes with digital things, like even editing or making videos, there's always like an undo button. But with this, it's like, you know, I mess up the pinning and I have to take out all the pins again. So there's really no shortcuts.
How far did we make it?
Like 3 stitches in and we're already ripping seams out.
What happened?
To be fair, we both forgot that the tension was a thing, but the stitching part itself seemed to go fine. It was
good. It was really good.
It's kind of fun, you know, pedal to the nose. It's so lame.
You're not even close to pedal to the metal. You're like...
Now, going into this, I had no clue how long it would take to make this one top, but let's just say these TikToks have been making a lot more sense lately. All right, based on how things have been going so far, do you think it's going as well as expected, or do you think it's going not as well?
I think it's going as expected.
Do you think that we'll finish before the sun sets?
No chance.
Dang!
No chance.
Okay.
It's
What time
5:30.
is it?
It's gonna set in like 2 hours.
Never mind. I kid, guys. I was joking. Do you think that everyone should go through the process of making something from scratch at least once? I guess in the context of sewing, we'll say.
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Because it takes so much energy to make it. Like, you actually need the time, you need energy to go through like 5-6 hours of sewing, the patience. And I feel like in today's world, it's like you were saying earlier, like it's so easy to just buy and get like instant gratification. So I think it's one, just like a good lesson, like a step back from like this very fast-paced world we live in. And then two, the like empowerment you get from making something and like looking at it and feeling proud and like having it tangible as well. I think that's a feeling that you can't replicate online, and it just feels so good. And I feel like everyone should experience that.
Yeah. I can imagine that, like walking around wearing a piece that you made and someone asking, where'd you get that? And actually, I made it.
Oh, actually?
That's nice, yeah. Hopefully that'll be me with this comes today. We'll see.
Yeah, I really would have never thought about all this like little detail that goes into sewing.
Oh yeah.
My apron.
That's so sick.
We are packing up because, similar to everything that I've learned so far with making stuff from scratch, it takes way longer than I originally thought.
So, with a lot of work still to be done to finish up this project, Dre lent me a sewing machine and even gave me my very own set of starter tools to take home. I was really excited to sew again after my lesson with Dre because I realized that unlike bookbinding, with sewing I could get into a really good flow state where I wouldn't even realize time had passed. However, I did find myself running into a lot of issues.
Okay, I am genuinely so lost and confused. I have been twiddling this top around for the past 20 minutes. Like, do you see this mess right now? So like, okay, one sleeve, cool, we got this side, good. And then it's like, how is the bottom of the shirt right here? Like, what is going on right now? I forgot to put the foot down, so look at all my stitches! That's so sad! Just accidentally stabbed myself with the needle. Sewing is dangerous, please be careful. But I got these cute band-aids, and they're floral.
So yeah, there was a lot of learning from mistakes throughout this process, but with some time and patience, the shirt was finally coming together. Okay, I'm about to call Dre to show him what the shirt looks like. Okay, I'm wearing the shirt, and I will show you what the shirt looks like. Reveal. Okay, this is the shirt.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like. The lining is really sus, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wish that if I could go back in time, I would scrap the lining. And the zipper is also a bit sus at the back there, but like, we don't talk about that. So the shirt was the only piece I thought I'd be sewing for this project, but that same week I was having so much fun despite all of my mistakes that I ended up making 2 other pieces. This origami bag, as well as this pleated top that I messed up a little bit, so I showed these to Dre as well.
I was not expecting this extra stuff. I thought you just had the shirt done.
No, I was like in a really good sewing kick, and I was like, wow, I really just want to make a lot of stuff. So I bought you a bunch of replacement needles because I broke at least 3 of them, and I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad. So I bought you some replacements because I was like,
you didn't have to do that. That's crazy. I feel like I've broken maybe 3 needles in my life.
I know, I was gonna say, I feel like I broke more than you probably ever have in the span of like a week. I think for now I'm good for sewing for the next little bit.
It's like you got 3 pieces done, which is crazy, in a short amount of time. You can enjoy the summer, and then maybe in the fall when things slow down, you can get back into it.
Thank you again for all your help. It really was like so helpful. I think I would have spent like a full year doing this if I did it myself.
No problem. I had a lot of fun teaching you, so it's good.
Yay. Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So that pretty much marks another dare complete. Now, if you recall from the start of this video, I said I wanted to test if making things by hand is worth it instead of buying. In part 1, I concluded that making your own journals at home was not worth it for me, but when it comes to sewing your own clothes, I think I can say I do think it's worth it. But honestly, I realized the verdict isn't really the point. It's not about evaluating if something is worth the time and effort before you even start. It's about whether or not you actually choose to follow through on the things you're curious about. When I was in high school, I feel like I always brushed off my creative interests because everything I did needed to be worth my time. It needed to somehow contribute to getting better grades or getting a better career. But looking back now, I realize just how silly this is. Throughout this whole series and through making things by hand, I realized that when you choose to apply yourself and almost take that same seriousness in dedicating time towards your interests, you actually learn so much about yourself. So I think the biggest thing we lose by not making things by hand isn't the object or the finished product itself, but the opportunity to simply be a beginner again, to be curious, to be bad at something for a while, and maybe even by the end to make something really cool. So all that to say, take your curiosities and interests seriously, and with that, I'll see you for the next dare.